Pep Guardiola is under contract with Manchester City until June 2027. The club announced a 2-year extension in November 2024. In later remarks, Guardiola said he does not intend to take another club job immediately after leaving City and has considered taking a break when this cycle ends. In other words, the official line today is stays through 2027. Afterward, maybe a sabbatical. So why is there so much speculation? Because at different moments, Guardiola himself has flirted verbally with the idea of an ending, dropping headline-friendly lines like "I'm closer to leaving than staying" or "I'll stop when I leave City." At other times, he softened that tone, saying he decides year by year, depending on how he feels about the group and the energy of the project. That mix fuels rumor cycles even with a signed contract. There's also the sporting and institutional context. The departure of pillars and the unresolved situation regarding the 115 Premier League charges become variables on the board. None of this is decisive on its own, but it can weigh on a coach who always reads the environment carefully before extending cycles. In the 2025 market, City were aggressive. Among others, Gianluigi Donnarumma arrived from PSG, James Trafford returned, and Tijani Reinders and Ryan Cherki came in. On paper, this is a City renewing pieces and opening new ways to play, still with Guardiola at the helm, which by itself argues against an immediate exit. The Donnarumma signing drew attention because of one point: distribution with his feet, historically a key requirement for Guardiola's keepers. Donnarumma has acknowledged he needs to evolve in that area and has said Guardiola can help him improve, an angle echoed in British press coverage. At the same time, City announced a contract for Donnarumma through 2030, which signals a medium-term project, not a stopgap. If he isn't a Guardiola profile, why would Pep sign off? Two plausible reasons. First, the coach effect. Guardiola believes he can mold Donnarumma's short and mid-range passing while benefiting from his elite reach and reflexes. Second, a tweak in emphasis. Given exits and arrivals, it's plausible to see more varied build-up, especially in a heavier calendar, against opponents who've memorized City's patterns. In parallel, Ederson's departure and the returning arriving keepers have redrawn the hierarchy in goal, another sign there's a strategy, not improvisation.
Bobo, that's a great shot, what a save! Gianluigi Donnarumma with his first big impact as a Manchester City.
There are clear signals he stays through 2027. There's a signed contract and consistent institutional messaging pointing to 2027. The squad is in controlled reconstruction, and players like Cherki and Reinders need training time and adaptation, the kind of work Guardiola values leading himself. And Pep's own narrative matters. He has repeatedly said that when he leaves City, he plans to stop, not jump straight to another club. If a pause is the plan, it makes more sense to fulfill the contract and end at a round point.
All the way through, Reinders! He's got his second and Milan's third. There was just a passing.
Reinders! Beauty of a finish by Tijani Reinders.
Here's Fofana and TG Reinders waits. He's Milan's modern day Ruud Gullit. TG Reinders just keeps scoring.
There are, however, signs that could push him out earlier. Cycle fatigue is real. Guardiola openly monitors dressing room energy and his own motivation. If he feels the group has turned a page and he's already delivered what he can, he tends to consider closing the cycle. External noise is another factor. Any outcome in the 115 charge case will create a new context. It's not deterministic, but it is a real variable. And there's the squad balance. He has called for a leaner group and better role balance before. If he senses the equilibrium between competitiveness and man management has tilted the wrong way, he could reassess. Where does Donnarumma fit as a thermometer of the future? If the thesis is that he isn't the profile, the counterpoint is that Guardiola himself bought into making him that profile, and Donnarumma publicly embraced the mission. In practice, the Italian becomes a project indicator. If his footwork visibly improves, it's a sign City are executing a new stage of the idea with Pep. If it doesn't and tactical back and forths persist, the rumor mill will get louder. The emotional impact of leaders leaving also matters. De Bruyne's move to Napoli hit the club hard. Guardiola addressed it with care and acknowledged a technical transition. Replacing a brain like KDB with new connections, Rangers tempo, and a dribbler half-space creator like Cherki changes ball circulation. That re-engineering again demands training time, which doesn't match a manager with his bags packed. An honest diagnosis today would be the higher probability is Guardiola fulfilling the contract through 2027, steering the squad transition, and only then pausing. That's what both the official statements and the signed deal support. There is always a rupture risk, as there has been at other points in his career, if three factors converge: an intimate sense of end of cycle, outsized external noise, and friction between the game idea and the available personnel. For example, if Donnarumma doesn't click and City's build-up gets clogged for months. In plain terms, Donnarumma is not a Guardiola keeper is only true if he doesn't evolve under Guardiola. If he does, that narrative collapses. For now, the signing points to continuity of the project, not a farewell. 3 practical signals to watch: official communications from City and Pep, because tone shifts usually appear there before leaking to the rumor mill. The evolution of build-up play with Donnarumma, because if footwork errors persist and City fall back to less Guardiola-like patterns, noise will grow and the outcome of the 115 charges, because any decision will recalibrate the sporting financial landscape and could influence choices.